Hey, Blazor fans, welcome to another episode of the Blazor Power Hour. Watching .NET Conf this week, and there was a lot of chat in the stream about the new .NET 7 website. Let me share my screen here. So there was a lot of chatter about the new .NET 7 website, and there's also a showcase site. It was built with Tailwind. If you know me, you know I'm not a big fan of Tailwind, but it looks like that's what the .NET team used, or the Microsoft team used, to create that. If you want to take a look at the showcase, it's on link in the chat there. So they decided to go with Tailwind, and that's what they used as a framework to build this website. People seem to really like the theme and the style of it, so I thought I would recreate that in our Telerik UI for Blazor components to match that theme in case you wanted to kind of mimic this theme on your own, maybe internal business application, something like that. Maybe you thought it was a nice theme to use. So we're going to jump over to the actual live.net website. We'll take a look at it live, see what it looks like. This is the download page. This is a pretty interesting page from a component perspective here, because there's not a lot of UI components on this .NET homepage. There's a couple buttons. That's about all you'll see in here. So when we go to at least the download page, we've got a split button. We've got a couple panels here. So these are about all of the UI components that you're going to see, because this is a marketing website more than anything. So there's not like forms or charts and grids and all of that rich UI stuff that we do here at Progress with the Telerik components and whatnot. So as I was watching .NET Conf, I decided, let me see if I can copy this theme somehow into our components. And the first thing that I want to do is go over to our ThemeBuilder website. So if you go to themebuilderapp.telerik.com, you may need to create an account to see this. It's a free account. It will get you access to most features, but there are some things I'm going to show you that are part of our Pro account today. So let me jump into the tool here. I'm going to create a new project. And from that new project screen, we've got a couple starter themes that you can work with. Now, I'm going to choose today the Kendo Bootstrap theme. And I know as a Telerik UI for Blazor, these all do say Kendo because our Kendo product actually themes all of the Telerik UI for Blazor components. Now, it doesn't mean we use JavaScript for those things. It just means our CSS code is portable between many products here at Progress. So we do use the Kendo branding here. I think the Bootstrap theme is the most flexible of the base themes that we offer. So this is the easiest themed set of themes that we have. The Fluid theme is also very nice. This is a brand new one that follows the Microsoft design system. This one is newer, though. It doesn't gear itself to dark themes very well yet. Something we're working on. This is a 1.0 release, so it's not quite as mature as our Kendo Bootstrap theme that has been around for quite some time, that offers a light dark theme and so on. So I like to use the Bootstrap theme. It also works really well if you're already using Bootstrap, which a lot of .NET projects already do. It'll integrate super well, especially if you're using Sass. I can talk more about that later if we have time for it. Let's actually jump into the tool and see what we have. But first, we need to give it a name. So we're going to name it .NET 7 clone. And we'll go ahead and create that. And this will show you all of the components that are in that component library, at least a good majority of them. You can see we have things like a schedule in here. We've got a tree view, a panel bar. We've got our window components, all sorts of stuff in here that we can change the theme of: charts, graphs, gauges, lots of cool stuff in here. Now, again, we don't have a whole lot to go off of because this is a marketing website. It's only got a couple buttons and things. And we're going to try to theme an entire UI component suite just based off this marketing page. We can do a pretty good job of this, though. So one thing we need to do is jump in here and kind of steal some of the color themes from this. What we're going to try to do is match up these nice borders that make this look unique and the colors that make it unique. So let's go ahead and jump into our inspection tool here. And feel free to ask questions in chat, by the way. And I do, again, appreciate that feedback earlier about the microphone. Hopefully that's resolved now. So if we jump into this and look at the source code, we can see we've got a big style sheet in here. This is all that Tailwind stuff. But buried inside of this, we should be able to see, there it is. I do like the fact that there is a root namespace here, and we have all of our colors. Let's see if I can zoom in on what I'm looking at on the side here. Where did that go when I zoomed in? There it is. All right. So make it nice and big here for the stream. Zooming in on the root selector here, I've got colors primary purple, colors primary magenta. These are the two main colors. These other ones, although they do say primary, they're not really primary colors as far as I'm concerned. They're just used in some of the borders. They're like alternative border colors for the theme. For the most part, they're using this purple and this magenta. So I'm going to borrow these colors. I want to use these in my Bootstrap theme here. I want to control mainly the buttons and the border radiuses of these components, and you'll see kind of how this works as I go along. Again, this is a brand new tool from us. I don't know if I mentioned that. This is called Telerik ThemeBuilder. That's been around for a while. I've got an advanced edit option here. That's ThemeBuilder Pro, which is a commercial license version of the free ThemeBuilder that we've had in the past. So I'm going to start with some basic stuff, but when I jump into that advanced tab, it does go into a premium tool for editing these themes. Now, primary color is all of the components you see with this nice blue button on them. That's our primary color. So we should probably jump over to this .NET website again and just kind of look at which of these two, because they all say primary. So it's kind of hard to tell which one's going to be which. So we do see a lot of this magenta, or this purple, I mean, maybe less of this magenta being used. So the, let's see, we've got the download button there. Yeah, that magenta is pretty prominent throughout this. So we could go with that magenta as our primary color there, so it gets picked up in most places. So let's go back and steal that color again. So if I do an inspect here, jump in to that root selector, there's that magenta color, and we'll take that one. And we're going to go over to ThemeBuilder and put that right in this primary slot here, and you'll see in real time this will update and color all of those components, and we're already on the right track. So we've got those purple colors blending in everywhere. We also have a secondary color here, secondary button. Now I can override the secondary color here, and that would automatically turn everything to pink. But you also see there's another alternative button here that's kind of got a white internal button color and like a purple border radius. So we need to kind of pick our styles here. We've got a couple things. We already have that. If we want to see what these are all named, there's several variations of this button. We'll go into advanced and see these nice dotted lines that come up on each group of components. If I click on that group, this is going to let me have fine-grained control over that selection in there. So we've got a primary button that is like that. We also have a solid secondary button, and then we have flat and outline. We don't really have this magenta option in here though. So we can add this magenta option if we wanted to. We're going to override one of these selections here doing that. I didn't see this kind of like black button in there. So one thing that we could do is jump in on this outline secondary. We could override this button theme and use that as our magenta themed component. So if we want to do that inside of this this zoomed view that we have here, what we can do is on outline secondary, we can actually come down to the background here. We need that magenta color first. Let's go ahead and add that to our list. So we'll grab this. And let's see, we've got some predefined color selections here. I'm going to come into this and just go ahead and say we want a new color. And I'm going to paste that in there. And I'm going to call this one magenta. And we've created a variable there. You can see it come up down here at the bottom of the screen. It's in the lower left-hand corner here. So I've got my magenta color now. And now I can come into my button selection. And currently this is a transparent background. I'm going to go ahead and select magenta there. You'll see all variations of that outline button turn to that magenta color, and none of these other ones are affected. Anywhere that outline button is used, though, it could affect that. We'll have to jump out to this theme, and you can see there's other variations of these components that are used within some of the other views here. So you might see those spring up. But it's nice to be able to toggle out and see the entire theme as we tweak the design here. It also has, it doesn't look like it has any distinct border on it. So what I'm going to do is also come in and set the border color. So the border color here, and set that to magenta as well, so that that black border disappears off of it. And you'll notice the button text too. So we can come into the text property. That's actually set at the button level as well. And I'm going to set it to component background. That's a fairly safe option here. That's going to give me a contrasting color. So if we were to switch themes, I may need to check that if this is a dark theme. We'll get into dark themes in just a few. But there's our magenta option. And if we zoom back out, you could see we've got our two buttons here at the top. That's the two that you see there on the home page. And then we've also got split buttons as well. So there's a split button on that download page. And did I click on menu? I meant split button. Split button. There's a split button down there. So if we wanted a split button, we could create a theme for that one. Currently, it is that gray secondary color. Or we could also override the entire set of secondaries. That's going to give us a very vibrant theme. But we could also come in and set up that outline option like we have there. So let's look at that option too. So if we wanted to set all of these secondary colors, secondary buttons. And these are going to be used more. So that solid secondary gets used in our toolbars and pretty much everywhere. So you're going to see that magenta color really light up everywhere. So we could see that option too. So let's jump over here and select our secondary button. We'll just do the same thing that we did for the outline button below. Then we may need to go back and modify that outline. So if we come in here, we set this to magenta. There goes all of those. And we need to make sure we have a contrasting text color here. We'll just set that to component background for now. And then if we zoom out, there's all of those buttons colored in magenta. It's a pretty vibrant theme there, but it's pretty neat. It looks a lot like that .NET 7 so far. That's what we're going for. Let's go ahead and run with this. Let's come down here and fix up this outline. So the outline's actually kind of messed this one up a little bit. The outline should actually have literally an outline. So I want to set this back to transparent and then give it, oh, I didn't want to set all of them. I'm gonna have to go through manually and set the rest of those back. And there is an undo, by the way. I can undo things, which is nice. What's really cool about this editor is that you normally do this in like Sass or something. This is actually building up all of the Sass variables and also the compiled CSS for us. And we'll be able to download that through the export button later. So I'm going to go back over here, set that to base text again. And then on the hover states, I'm going to go ahead and set the backgrounds to magenta manually there. And if you set it at the top level, it'll cascade down through these components here, the subcomponents. So that, I'm just trying to match it up with the right-hand side. So those look good. And then I want the individual text pieces here to be text color. There we go. Component background, text. So we'll set these up. And these would have been easier if I wouldn't have set that at the very beginning. I'm just going back and fixing mistakes here at the moment. And then we want to grab the icon as well. What's nice, we have that fine grain control though. We can go in here and set individually the icon for each of these. If we wanted to set different colors, we could. And one more of those, and we should be done with buttons. And we can move on to something else. There we go. So we can zoom back out now. And there's our secondary button. We've left the flat there so we can have that gray option if we want it. So I think that looks pretty good. And we have a nice swatch there so we can see all of those components. And then everything else gets that magenta color. It looks very .NET 7, like their .NET 7 website does. Now, one thing that I noticed, the theme, the .NET 7 theme from their page has is these big borders. And even their buttons have bigger borders. We didn't set that yet. If we zoom in on these components here, and we'll do computed here, see if we can actually, there we go, select that individual piece. You could see the computed border radius on these. If I get the right component, it's hard to do at a zoomed level. Let me zoom back out for a minute, see if I can target these a little bit better. Computed style, we bring this down a little bit, and I get, should be on either that one or that one. We should get the border radius on this. Box sizing, display. Let's see if we've got it in the styles here. Usually you can see it in the computed style, but it doesn't seem to want to show. Border radius. All right, there we go. So they're using the Tailwind rounded large border radius, which is 20 pixels. That's a pretty big value there. So that's why we got these nice broad border radiuses here. And you can see our dialog boxes don't quite fit that. And we also have some other tile components and stuff in here. We jump into the dialog though. We can go ahead and match up that border radius. So if we grab this component, you'll notice there's different pieces here. We've got the just the title. That's if it's collapsed or it just is a dismissible dialog. This one has a body and some action buttons. This is nice because we can dig into those different component levels with this navigation tool on the right-hand side. If we go all the way out to the top level, this is probably where my border radius is going to be set. And you can see it's Kendo border radius. It's actually set to a variable. And if I come up here on my metrics side, you see we have Kendo border radius. This is a global value that a lot of components are using. And this is actually a good place to set it. So I'm going to come over here and say 20 pixels. And this will update the entire theme. And you see our border radius changed there because it's using that variable. So we've got that part done. The next thing that we want to do is we want to come in and set the border style. And this one's hard-coded here, so you don't see a variable name. And I'm pointing over to this side here. I wish I had my pointer tool installed. I don't have it on here right now. But over here in the right-hand side, you can see I have a border tab. And the border thickness is currently set to 1. That's something else I want to check here. Theirs is 2. So border width is going to be 2. And the background color, we can set to magenta. And now we are looking a lot more like that .NET 7 theme. So if we look down here, there's our dialog. And that looks a lot like the one here. So looking really good. We have a window component as well. So you see these use different styles. So the window component, since we're going to have two things sharing that theme, we should probably come in here and say this is going to be a variable instead. So we've got, let's see, this one uses Kendo border radius for some reason. Okay, the radius is probably the same, but the border size there. Okay, so the border size, let's add that. And we'll call this border size. And we'll set it to 2 pixels. And yeah, I don't know what just happened there. Let's hope we're saved up to that current point. All right, good. Let's try that again. I don't know if I got logged out there or what that was. So we'll say border. So actually, let's just call it dialog. Dialog, panel border size. And we'll set that to 2 pixels. We should get a variable up here. There we go. I must have gotten timed out or something weird. So we'll set up a variable for that. And we can just keep reusing that. And if we decide to change it later, we can change it across multiple components. So what I like there is we can set variables up and reuse them. So we can come down here now over to window title or window, and we can change the window component. And again, I'm going to use the normal view here. and then click on the outer component. Make sure I get that whole component. This one has a couple states, by the way. So we're going to go in here and just say panel border size. They all received it. I hit that top level one first. You could set them individually if you wanted to. That'd be kind of weird UX wise, but you could set them individually. We've got normal and focused states here and minimized. But when it's focused, what we want to do is we want to set that background color to magenta. So the focused one gets that magenta color. We could also do something like this in the normal side, normal panel. We've set the size already, but we want to come in here and say primary. There we go. There's primary. Like that. And then the minimized also has that primary color. So if we jump back out, we can view our windows. So that's what our windows look like. All right, so you can see the theme rolls through all the components here. We've got our charts, our grids, our graphs, all of that stuff. We're starting to get closer to completing the theme. I mean, it really wasn't that bad to theme all of the components with that nice rounded border radius there. It does look like it maybe was a little too heavy-handed on the buttons. So what I'm going to do is come back into the buttons and make some changes to the buttons because they're using that global border radius. And if we look, the border radius on these is a little bit different than on the buttons. If we zoom in on the buttons, I'm going to say that's going to be a bit smaller. So we want to go into our buttons and kind of match these up. They look a little weird right now. And I'm trying to figure out where they set this. I might be able to tell. Rounded are extra small. I can filter these. Rounded, if I get my hands on the right part of the keyboard. It's not coming up with a match for some reason. Come on, Tailwind. What is your extra small in this context? I'm gonna say that's probably about 8 pixels. Do I not have, I don't have that button selected. That's my problem. No, it's just rounded. There we go. It's not double dash. Wasn't a variable. I was expecting a variable for some reason. So yeah, 8 pixels. Look at that. 8 pixels there. So we come back into the button. We zoom down. This is using the default Kendo border radius. I'm going to go and add just one more here, just in case we got to reuse this one too. And we'll say button border radius. And this one is going to be 8 pixels. And these are going to set up variables that we can work with and reuse. Oh, I put the name and the description swapped here. There we go. It's self-explanatory. I don't think it really needs a description. So I'm going to leave that empty. And then we'll do button border radius. Oh wow, that gave it a very strange look there. I put it in the wrong place. I made the button border, so I can undo that, thankfully. That's the border. I meant to do border radius. There we go. So thankfully there is an undo there. That did help quite a bit. All right, so we saw that change in real time. That looks a lot cleaner, So yeah, looking good now. Looking really good. There are a few cases here I see where that border radius still kind of lingers, and that one's not too bad. We can come into the individual input buttons or input components and do this as well. So I wonder if we can rename this without messing up too much, and just use let's call it form border radius instead. Let's check our buttons. Make sure, yeah, I kept that. I'm going to call it form border radius because it's using a lot of input components and forms as well. So the chips I think are fine, but inputs looks a little weird with that crazy border radius on it. So come in and we can just go through these again and use the form border radius on that. And I love how if I hit that top one, if I hit the normal state, it automatically picks those up unless I go in and manually set those individually. So that's looking a lot better. So you can see a lot of those inputs getting the border radius set back to something more reasonable. I do see some egg-shaped stuff still. The color picker, it's picking that up from somewhere. There's also a couple of these, so it's probably a drop-down. So a lot of our base components get picked up in other UI components. They build up into larger things. So you'll see, like the color picker, I'd imagine is picking up from a drop-down list. And then this is a drop-down list as well. If you look at the item pager, when I click on that item pager in a data grid, it's going to be a drop-down list. So we need to go in and fix the drop-down list, and that's going to set up our other components to be normalized too. So if we come in, border radius, and set it to form border radius, drop back out, the date picker doesn't seem to have been fixed yet. Maybe it's a drop-down tree. So there's still a few outliers here. Still a few odd ducks. Come in here, hit form, pop back out. And that one, I still haven't got control of that one. Not sure who it inherits from. And maybe it's not exposed to the editor somewhere. That one's just escaping us a little bit. But otherwise, this looks pretty good. So we've got our .NET theme fairly ready to roll. There might be some minor things that we want to tweak still, but for the most part, I think we got what we need. We can even look into some of these. Ratings look good. We can look at our data inputs here as well. You could come in here if you'd like and change the focus states and stuff, but they still look pretty decent. You got like that magenta color and or the purple color and the magenta working together. This is our .NET 7 theme so far. We also have these panel bars that you could come in and customize, but those look good too. So once we hit the buttons they're used in a lot of places. So those buttons get used quite frequently, and the inputs get used frequently because it's a UI component suite. So there's a lot of things that just get used throughout other components. Once you get those granular things set up, the rest of the theme starts to flow pretty well. See how our skeleton, this one looks good as well. And how about our date pickers? Do we have, let's see what our date pickers look like here. And we can narrow these down as well. There's our calendar. Calendars look good. Calendars look just fine. If you wanted to see a specific group of items, maybe you're not using some of these things. You can come over to the configuration over here, and you can deselect all of the components, and maybe you're just using buttons and let's say a data grid. You can just see those two things. And you could build just those two things. So you can configure this however you like. So we've got that one set up. And I think this is gonna be our theme. Theme looks good. So the next thing to do would be to export the theme. So let's take a look around the metadata again real quick. If we have people on a team that we'd like to share this with, we can share across teammates that are other users of the theme builder. So we can do that. Maybe we need to share it with somebody, get some approval. Maybe they want to do some editing too. Maybe we're kind of pair programming on this. We can rename. We can download the metadata and share that because there's an import feature here as well. And then I started with the base theme. You could also start with one of these swatches, and there's our import. So there's where that metadata gets imported. So you'll get a JSON file that describes this. I'm going to drop this as an export now, and it's going to export me a nice zip file here. So if I look at my zip file, I've got my clone.net 7 theme. If I look inside, there is a dist. There's that package.json file as well. That's for npm to install any of the assets that we need. We don't really need that if we just want to use CSS though. We can just use CSS if we want to. If we want to use Sass, we can bring in the base Sass theme, and then here's our overrides for the Sass part of this. I'm pretty happy with what we have. I'll just grab this CSS file. So let's go see if we can drop this in a project. So we're gonna go to, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna be able to do that today. I apologize because I reinstalled everything because .NET 7 came out and I don't have my Telerik UI for Blazor components installed yet. And I'm not sure how quickly I can get that set up. Let me give it a try. So I'm going to jump into my account and I don't have a second screen. I know you're going to see like the big talking head for a minute. Let me unshare my screen for just a moment. Give me a second. Let me see if I can get the installer running. And we'll see if we can get this going in Visual Studio. So, all right. I need to download the progress control panel. All right, I think I can bring you all back into the stream now safely. I've got all my personal information off the screen. Thindle, welcome. Yes, that is the Lego, what's it called? Atari. And yeah, I've got the original Half-Life box behind me on my shelf of things. Those are some of my favorite bits there. Progress control panel. So you get to see this from the very get-go. I got to install my progress control panel. I just wiped my system. I installed a 2 terabyte hard drive. I got to log in again. These don't show anything sensitive. I've successfully logged in. We made that a lot more seamless. That's brand new. Used to have to manually log into all those things. Now it just grabbed it from my browser's credentials there. I I want to install all this, but I'm not going to do it on stream. I just want to get the Blazor stuff going for now. So from my progress control panel, I'm going to install Telerik UI for Blazor. Hopefully this doesn't bog down the stream too much. I will forego the demos and just install all of this. It's about 300 meg, shouldn't take too long. Got a decent connection today. It is I think it's the NVMe. It's let's see, I bought a Samsung 980 Pro. So I just installed this guy. So it's the NVMe SSD. 2 terabyte. I don't think my system goes up to the 3 or this is a 4.0. I don't even know if I bought the 4.0. I think my spec on my system only goes up to the 2.0. It's not even that really old of a system. It's just these things move so quick. It's a PCIe 2, I think, but it works. It's backwards compatible. So I threw it in. It gets great performance so far. Yeah, Samsung hardware is good. I'm not a big fan of their phones, but their TVs and whatnot. Their appliances are terrible though. Stay away from Samsung appliances. Do not never ever buy a Samsung appliance. No refrigerators, no ovens. Stick to their hardware. So Visual Studio should have the Telerik components in it now. That wasn't a bad install. Took less than 3 minutes. And then I'm going to create a new project. And then I have Telerik C# Blazor application. I'm going to go ahead and select that. We're going to call this the .NET 7 theme demo. And I'll put that in my repos directory. This is going to be brand new .NET 7. Let's go for the dashboard, or let's do the admin. Let's do admin. Let's try our luck with admin. We're going to put a custom theme in here, but I'm just going to go ahead and choose the Bootstrap default theme, because I'm going to override the Bootstrap theme. And then let's uncheck CDN support, because again, I'm going to use my own theme here. So we don't want to CDN our CSS files. Visual Studio wants to update. Not on a live stream, my friend. Oh, crud. Okay, so Visual Studio is asking for, or no, this is the Telerik NuGet packages asking for authentication. I'm going to have to unshare my screen again. I thought our installer took care of this for us, but apparently it is not doing that today. So again, okay, so stop sharing my screen. Yeah, I know this is off topic, but yeah, Bosch all the way for appliances. I wouldn't touch Electrolux either. That is unfortunate. I don't know if there's anything we're able to do about that. I would talk to some sales folks if you're really interested, see if there's anything they can do for you. I don't know of anything off the top of my head, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing that we can do for you. It's just I don't do anything on the sales front except for tech demos for customers, but I don't get into like the dollars and cents and stuff. So I just don't know those things. But the price on the website, if you talk to somebody in sales, there's sometimes different programs and things that we have that may not be advertised you could ask about. Never hurts to ask. Not saying that there's a promise there's something there, but never hurts to ask. Trying to sign into our NuGet. Oh, I put the right credentials in. My NuGet feed is not set up for this. Let's see if that works. And it says it's working on something, restoring NuGet packages. And Visual Studio is not giving me a whole lot of feedback here. Come on, Visual Studio. All right, let me bring the screen back up because the password box is now gone. Sorry, I'm not more prepared for this. I thought I had everything installed on my system again. I forgot the one of the most important things that I work on. Yeah, we don't have anything free currently. It has never really turned out to be good business for us to do that. It still is not installing my NuGet packages. Are you for real today? Package manager, restore failed, error list, window for details. The trials and tribulations of having a new machine. Let me double check on something really quick here. We used to automatically set this stuff up. Downloads, use this. NuGet settings. There we go. Let me try that. I got it. I got to push this off the monitor again. Sorry, folks. Sorry. Let's drop that away real quick. I just wanted to see this working in a live application and we'd be good to go, but I didn't do this right. Save and close. I don't know if I have to do a repair installation. I'm going to try that though. Proceed with a repair install. Give it just 1 second here. I didn't have my my credentials put into the installer, so it wasn't able to register those Telerik packages on my system, so it's not able to find the NuGet packages. So once that finishes, it's going to reinstall some things there. that is somewhat true. That's somewhat true. There's also the adage of if you can't sell it, give it away. We're not in the mode of giving it away because we're able to sell our components because they bring a tremendous amount of value to developers. So we've been pretty successful at marketing ourselves. We do want to have something for the community. We just haven't found the right fit for it. We've tried things with other libraries, and it just never works out. Not only for us, but for everyone. It just we end up having to. We just don't have success with those platforms when that happens. Being able to invest in a component library lets it, build bigger and more robust libraries. Okay, so that install went good. So we should be able to run this. I think I did Blazor server. And this is going to be the default Bootstrap theme. So this looks normal. No, that's not our Bootstrap theme. That is actually the wrong theme. I thought I picked Bootstrap, but it apparently is not. Bootstrap is here, but it is not the theme that was used in the app. Yeah, this is a server app. If we go into host.csh HTML, and we shall zoom in a little bit, you will see it is Bootstrap. That's have a feeling that that is not the Bootstrap theme, though. Why? Okay, this says Bootstrap. That is not the Bootstrap theme. That is the Bootstrap theme. That's very odd. K drawer item. Kendo drawer. Looks like it's using our default theme. I don't know why we've got two themes going on inside of one app. That's just how it looks to me. I don't know if I'm right there, but yeah, okay. So that isn't the other theme. So it's been manually overridden here for some reason. It's odd choice. Let's take that color out. So this is just the template, and in the template for some reason that color is being manually set to pink or salmon, because I guess it's a dark gray by default. That's still seems odd to me. Oh, that's because the color's set there. Yeah, I don't know why we chose to do that. Let's try that again. It's being overridden as important too, which is another pet peeve of mine. Yeah, that actually looks better to me. I don't know the choice on that one. All right, so we've got our theme set up. Let's go out to host.cshtml, and we downloaded that theme earlier. It should be in our downloads. So we've got our .NET 7 cloned theme, and I should be able to take the CSS file here and plunk it down inside of my project. I should probably put it under CSS. Yes, I want to move it. And then let's see what's in site. So site is here. And I'm going to take this theme and reference it instead of Bootstrap min. And that's just a raw Bootstrap. Site CSS. Where is my Telerik component? CSS. Here it is. Content lib, Blazor UI swatches, main Bootstrap. So I should be able to replace it with this one. Let's try that instead. Comment out the old one, and the type should be CSS. Save that, reload the app. Let's see if we get everything. Hopefully I did this right. I'm just kind of winging it. There we go. There we go. Looking pretty good there. We are kind of .NET 70, aren't we? Not all of our panels have that outline, but we're looking pretty close here. Pretty close. So we could come in here and do some streamlining, but we've got that purple and teal going on. I think, is there a, let's see, the about page? No about page. Contact just brings you here. Okay. So we've got our dashboard. This looks pretty good. One of the things that we had on the .NET download page is these panels. And if I go back to my theme builder, let's see, where did I close that window? I think I did. Go to theme builder again, and let's open that .NET clone theme back up. And let's see if I can call in one of these fancier looking panels. Their dialog. We didn't modify the card. That's why I missed an entire component. That's why it doesn't look right. So I want to do this card as well. The card needs a border radius of Kendo border radius. And you'll see that changing that border radius does muck with the header a little bit. So we do want to modify this to have more of a, I think it's a padding issue. Let's try 10 pixels and see if that, yeah, that border radius cuts into the head of this. So we want to add a padding to these of about 10 pixels to kind of fix those up. So we've got the heading, and that looks good. These could use some color. So we'll come in here and set the colors. So we've got our border. Border says mixed. So that means, let's see, I want card level. Border, 1 pixel. We want the panel border size there. And we want the border color to be magenta. And then the card body, if it doesn't have a header, it's going to get cut off. So the border radius gets, okay, padding. We want padding again. And padding, we'll just drop another 10 pixel padding in there. There we go. So that fixes any issues that we have with that big bulky border radius that we get from that style. And that should modify some more components. I knew something looked a little off. There's our card. And then that does our tile items. There we go. That makes me happy. That makes me a lot more happy. So we need to export this again because we made modifications to it. And this is where, you may not want to be going in and exporting all the time. You want to do like some CI/CD type stuff. I mean, you still will need to export, obviously, but if you do SAS, it makes it a little bit easier because you're just going to replace a couple values rather than dropping in an entire CSS file. But we want to copy this file back over to our project. I'm going to stop it from running for a moment and then go to CSS. Yes, we'll replace that item and then run the app again. And I think we'll see this look, there we go. That's looking more appropriate. Looks a lot more like the thing. The padding is throwing off some of the height of these items, I think. And I don't think this is a theming issue. I think this is a code issue. So you may need to update some things in your code to make this work just right. So the dashboard, the row height is now off. So we want to have this be, let's go for 300, just to make sure that layout gets the right row size. See if that was the value I wanted to update. There we go. That looks better. There were some things getting cut off because of the padding increases that I added, but that looks good. So we've got our .NET 7e dashboard now. Yeah, looks a lot better. So if we look at the .NET page again, this looks a lot closer to our dashboard. Looking good. We've got our buttons there. You can see the buttons on our website. And it's a step in the right direction. We might want to go in now and add some fonts. So the fonts aren't, they're partially in the ThemeBuilder. You can set the font name, but you have to import the font at your application level. So if we wanted to match that font, this one right here, I think is an open font that you can just get from like Google or something. Go to computed, Open Sans. You can get that one free and easy from the Googles. So you could set that to Open Sans on your project, and that set it in ThemeBuilder to Open Sans. You could get that going and match that up nice and easily. But for the most part, we're on the right track here. So we've got our .NET 7 theme here, and it's looking pretty darn good. And we get that nice bubble effect even on our drop-down menus here. We've got our brightly colored buttons and the magenta and purple theme working together here on multiple components. Cool stuff. Even the bars here look like they're pretty close to the colors that we want. We could come and maybe modify that one a little bit. Somebody might have hard-coded that one in the theme too, though. There's a couple hard-coded colors in the template that we might want to go back and replace. But overall, I think we did it. We matched it up. We did it in an hour. So you could come in, customize an entire theme in an hour. And then you could go in and if you wanted to make a dark theme, you could go back into ThemeBuilder. You could clone that theme in ThemeBuilder, make a replica of it, make a copy, and then go set up a dark theme. And there's going to be a couple things that you're going to want to go in and tweak. And once you tweak those settings, you can go back and implement your dark theme as well. So I'd start with either a copy of that theme or go with a dark theme base and just start modifying again. You're gonna go through about the exact same steps. It's just the light and dark contrasts. That's usually where you get hung up, is where things have contrasting values with like text and whatnot. Let's see here. Got some questions in here. Let me see if I can get to these. Do you prefer Bootstrap, Tailwind, or plain CSS? I prefer plain CSS. I used the Bootstrap theme from ThemeBuilder because it's one of the easier ones to theme. It does not internally use Bootstrap itself. It just looks like Bootstrap components. It's generally one of the more robust themes to start with and easier to theme than any of the other ones. I don't really care for Tailwind myself. I think it's bloated. I'll show you why. I don't like Tailwind. So let's go back to the .NET website because it's built with Tailwind. Now I have a place to go show people why I don't really care for Tailwind.net. So if we go to the .NET website, again, this is a marketing website, so it is what it is there. Look at the HTML. Just trying to parse through this HTML is not going to be fun for me as a front-end person. Why is my class spanning 2 full rows? And what does all this garbage mean? Why didn't I just write this in CSS? Like, I could have easily written this in CSS and not thrown it all in my HTML and not shorthanded a bunch of stuff. MB margin SM, MD colon MB dash margin dash MD. If I wrote code, let's not talk CSS, let's talk C# or JavaScript right now. If I said var MB, var SM, var MD, MB, like people would pull their hair out. Why is that okay in CSS code? Why are all these shorthandy things valid in CSS and not in C# or not in JavaScript? If I had a var XXL, people would be mad. Whoever had to edit that code would be angry. I would be if I had to edit that code. Why is that okay in CSS? That makes no sense to me. There's no reason that these practices should be okay in CSS, but no other coding language on the planet do we. Maybe Scala or something, like maybe that's okay there, but you know, like H should not be a variable. Yeah, this should be this is an inline style, folks. This might as well be an inline style to me. I don't like it. That's my opinion. Don't like don't like Tailwind for that fact right there. So I'm not a fan. If you are, that's fine. You can use it in your code, but I'm not going to use it in mine. I could write that on the .NET theme and CSS just fine. What other questions do we have here? Does Bootstrap use jQuery? What about Tailwind? So they do both come with components. Bootstrap components use, I don't think they use jQuery anymore. They haven't for about a version or two. They use JavaScript, that's for sure, but I don't believe they use jQuery. So I do believe the Tailwind components, there are a couple base ones, but the Tailwind components are, they're not jQuery, but they are a paid thing. So they are a commercial product. If not all of them, at least some of them are. Bootstrap still is free to get started with. There's no premium components for Bootstrap. You get the basic stuff. While they're not using, they use JavaScript modules these days, it says. They're not jQuery. They're they are modular, modern JavaScript, but it is going to use what is it called? Direct DOM manipulation. So they're still using. It does use jQuery if jQuery is detected. It is not required. So it's either or. Let's see what other things we have here. I don't know about Tailwind. So the components are, there's a couple base things in here. But if you want to use any of the more professional stuff, you're going to have to buy it. And I can't vouch for it. I've never used it. What I like about the Telerik stuff is we have component libraries for any framework. So if you're using jQuery, you can get Kendo UI for jQuery. If you're using Blazor, you can get Telerik UI for Blazor. Using MVC, we've got a product for that, React, and so on. So you can stay in that native language. Whereas these other things like Tailwind and Bootstrap, you're going to have to write their APIs, whatever vanilla JavaScript thing that they're using. They're good for getting started. They're good at prototyping. They're great frameworks for prototyping. If you're just trying to throw something together for a demo, and then you take that demo and you got your proof of concept, you start building a product, start with some native CSS code. Yeah, so they may be jQuery free, but you're stuck with their DSL. So whatever their domain specific language is, you're writing in that. Again, I don't know much about the Tailwind stuff, But the Bootstrap APIs are they're the what's it called? I can't remember the name of that pattern. They use the data dash attributes, so they're unobtrusive JavaScript pattern. So you're gonna have to learn that, and whatever their APIs are. Yeah, but we did it. We themed our app, and then we file new project and app, drop that theme in, and it worked pretty darn good. So I mean, if you're able to recreate the .NET theme in under an hour and implement it, I think that's a pretty good task. You can fine tune that in probably another hour. Make sure like all your dots, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, that sort of thing. Make it look really nice. Convert it over to a dark theme. Have both light and dark themes, so you can toggle those. I've showed that on previous shows. I could show it again though, at a later date if anybody's still interested in seeing how you toggle between a light and dark theme. Maybe I'll go make the dark theme and we can do that on another show again. Nice to see you all, and take care. Bye bye.